Is it really worth getting a player Strat in 2024? With Fender trying their absolute hardest to become a lifestyle brand and try to maintain their popularity with the boomers, has that affected the humble Strat in any way, and is it even worth it for you? Well, probably not. Let me tell you why. So this is my new player Strat. Now, don't worry dude, this isn't going to be a normal review. We all know what a Stratocaster is by now. The last thing we all need is another YouTube video explaining all the specs of the most famous guitar in the world and making out like it's a f***ing revelation. It's not. What I really want to talk to you about is why the Player Series leaves me feeling completely empty inside. The first thing I need to tell you is that 3 things about this guitar are unusual. This is a limited edition model that's got a roasted maple neck, which in all honesty, don't seem to be that roasted. Editor Jack here. So I realised that the neck actually looks much darker than it really is because of the colour grade that I put on my videos. So I took some other B-roll shots, which should be either this side or that side, and that's more like what it looks like in the flesh, just if you were thinking about picking one up. It could just be this piece of wood's colour, but I have had Fender roasted necks before and they were definitely darker than this. Next, it's got Fender custom shop Fat 50s pickups, so not just your average garden variety player set. At this point, those of you that know me are probably thinking, why has he bought a f***ing triple single Strat? And you'd be completely right, but actually I'm really into the tones that Rabea gets with his Strat, so I thought I'd give it a go. More on how that went in a little bit. And the third thing that you should know is that I've already installed some Fender locking tuners on this thing that I had lying around. The original tuners were mid at best, like they were as unresponsive as a Tinder match when you tell them that you're into Warhammer.
What is the biggest ick?
People like
Warhammer. They just did not feel like the quality you'd expect from a series that's all often imitated, never duplicated. Other than that, I mean, it's just a Strat, dude. Standard body, frets, plastics, but it does look good. I don't know what it is, but I'm always sucked in by these guitars based on how they look. The surf green finish with the slightly darker roasted maple neck is something special, man. I am a big fan, but I'm not a fan of the build quality. This model retails at £899, which is a lot of money for the most common style of guitar in the world. I got this on sale, so it was a couple of £100 cheaper, but if you were going to go and buy one of these today, you're not getting much change from £1,000. If you were paying that much, would you expect it to come with rough frets, glue spill out on the skunk stripe, and a patchy as fuck spraying job on the headstock? Probably not, dude, but this thing did. Safe to say that this is absolutely not the best Strat that I've ever owned then. The frets needed some work on first setup to get them playing a little bit more smoothly, and the glue issue isn't horrendous, but you can definitely feel it when you're gripping the neck, so I'm going to need to rub that down. With the spray job on the headstock that's almost as patchy as Vince Neil's live vocals, there's pretty much all I can do about that, but luckily it's on a part of the guitar that you're not going to look at too closely, thank God. However, there is still enough potentially for this to be a great guitar. It just needs work. That's work that you shouldn't have to do if you're paying this much money, mate. It's taking the piss a bit. Despite its flaws though, this is a decent guitar to play. In the year of our Lord 2024, you either have to be brand new to playing guitar or have been a prisoner in the Gibson factory to have never played a Strat, so most of you will know just how comfortable they are. It's what they were made for, they've stayed that way forever, so it's safe to say this feels great to sit with. This one is actually kinda heavy and I like that about it. It's well balanced and it just feels thick. The neck profile is listed as a modern C, which means absolutely fuck all nowadays, given that all brands are using the same marketing bollocks. At this point, I kinda like to see the shape and dimensions on the website I'm buying from, so I've got a better idea of what brands actually mean, but maybe that's just me. Either way, this is a good feeling neck to play. It's nothing special by any means, it's just good. The fret ends and fretboard edges are all well dressed and completely smooth too, which is a plus. But there is something that I absolutely cannot get along with, and they put them on most Strats. Get these horrible bent steel saddles away from my guitar, Fender. Why waste metal pissing about even making these things? If you want even a medium action, you're gonna get grub screws scratching the shit out of your palm, and I cannot see a single logical reason as to why you wouldn't just put block saddles on them. Ultimately, we all know why the cheaper Strats don't have block saddles on them, and it's just a fake way to make the American models or American professionals seem like an higher-end product by not butchering your fucking picking hand. These things right here are trash, and they just ruin the entire feel of the guitar for your right hand. What is the point? It's just another thing that you're gonna have to mess about with to get the guitar playing comfortably. Now, admittedly, I knew it had got these saddles and I'm quite happy to replace them, but should you really have to? I don't think you should. The thing is, despite the shitty saddles and all the other problems with this guitar, it's fine to play, but it does leave me feeling completely empty, dude. There is just nothing that inspires me to even want to pick this guitar up and play it. Strats are, by default, the most standard type of guitar that you can buy, so you do expect it to a certain extent. They're bare bones, and we're probably all sick of seeing them now to a certain extent, but when you get a good one, there is something special about it. The problem I have with this player model is that it feels like a mass-produced item. Now, obviously I know that that's exactly what it is, but with the release of this line, it felt like Fender were just plugging a gap in their catalogue and not actually making an instrument that you should be practicing and playing and creating on. This guitar is completely soulless, and it just bores the ever-loving shit out of me to even pick it up, so let's get the playing out of the way, shall we? Couldn't even finish making a demo with this thing. I actually couldn't bring myself to sit with this guitar and waste my limited playing time. Now, if that doesn't tell you what I think about it, I don't know what will. In spite of how fucking mind-numbing this guitar is to play, dude, with the right amp and tone, I actually really like the sound of these custom shop single coils in a heavier context. Obviously, any sane person is going to tell you that that is not what they were made for. And they're completely right, no arguments from me. But sometimes it's just nice to experiment with something a little bit out of the ordinary or what you're used to and see what you can do with it. This guitar is missing all the chunk of an humbucker, but it's the twang of the single coil that makes it a little bit different when you're dialing in heavier tones. And if you're looking for a clean tone, you won't find a guitar that does it much better than a Strat set to the neck position. In a recording context, you kind of need to rely on the bass to fill in all the gaps that the pickup is missing, but what you get at the end is something that you don't hear all too often. I'm still not convinced you should be tracking the hardest hitting gent with a single coil Strat, but you can push it a lot further than anyone would lead you to believe. But that is all pointless when the guitar itself is the musical instrument equivalent of mayonnaise. It just doesn't matter whether it sounds good or bad, because this guitar is incredibly boring to play, dude. I almost didn't bother doing a demo at all, because as soon as I sat down to play this thing, it sucked all the inspiration out of me like a vampire that feeds on joy. I just can't help but feel like Fender are phoning it in because they know that people will go to them for a Strat, even though there's so many better options out there. I don't know, man, maybe they should stop trying to sell fedoras and rings and actually concentrate on making worthwhile instruments that haven't been shit out of the factory at light speed because they know people are just going to buy the brand name. I don't like being negative, I'd much rather talk to you about cool stuff that actually benefits you, but if you were looking at buying one of these in 2024, I don't think you should be going for the Player Series if this is anything to go by. I can't say it's a bad guitar, it's got some good qualities, but I cannot tell you that this guitar is fun. It is not. My advice would be that if you want one of these, don't get one new, get one off eBay or something like that and save some money, or even better, go to one of the other brands that are doing S-types better than Fender right now.